Today we continue on with our 2022 NHL Draft Selection Review as well as other top prospects in the organization. Today we're looking at the New York Rangers. So first we're going to review all of their top prospects from the 22 NHL Draft and then what else they already have in the pipeline from years past. We'll get into all that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're taking a look at the 2022 draft selections for the New York Rangers, and we're also taking a quick look at what else is in the pipeline for the Rangers prospects. Who else do they have coming to make the NHL jump over the next few years? This is already a pretty deep team. They had a great run to the conference final, the first year back in the playoffs after going through a bit of a rebuild here the last number of years. And this team already has a lot of top young talent that have only been in the NHL, 1-2 years, maybe 3 years, all kinds of players that are already there. And then, of course, we're going to look at what else is coming to keep this team young and exciting for years to come. We already seen high picks like Alexis Lafreniere, Capo Caco, Filipino have an impact on this team. K-Andre Miller's another one. How many more players of that nature do they have coming up in the pipeline? So let's jump onto the computer. We'll take a look at their summary first of their draft selections from the 2022 draft. We'll go into each player a little bit more in depth and take a look at what else prospects they have coming up behind them here in the near future. We have the summary for the Rangers selections of the 22 NHL draft. As you can see, there's not a lot. They had 6 picks altogether. Of course, I traded a bunch of picks here to make late season additions at the NHL trade deadline, which helped them pretty well, where they went all the way to the conference finals. But let's take a look here at these 6 picks. First one was Adam Sikora, left winger from Slovakia, still 17, won't be 18 until September. 5'10", 172 pounds. Their first selection here at the draft was number 63 overall in round 2, playing in the Slovakian League last year. Had a decent season of 17 points in 46 games, only putting up 6 penalty minutes. Also appeared in 19 playoff games, putting up an additional 5 points. He's already signed his ELC as well, so a good-looking prospect there. You have Bryce McConnell-Barker, a left-shot center from London, Ontario, 18 years of age, 6'1", 193. A third-round pick here in the 22 draft, number 97 overall, playing for the Sioux Greyhounds, where he put up a 23-goal and 49-point season last year. Certainly somebody who we can probably continue to watch develop in the UHL for another year. Next, we have Noah Laba, right winger from Michigan, 18 years of age, 6'2", 191 pounds, 111th overall here in the 4th round, playing in the USHL. Had a pretty solid year last year, putting up 39 points in 50 games, while also accumulating 115 penalty minutes. So that goes to show he's not afraid of the rough stuff and has good size to do it. So an interesting prospect forward. We also have Victor Mancini, the only defenseman drafted in this year's draft class, 6'4", 215. Of course, as you know, if you're a Ranger fan, they're already pretty deep on defense, and they have lots of good Ranger D prospects on the way, which we'll talk about here momentarily. So he's going to have a steep hill decline. He's 20 years of age, 6'4", 215, playing at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. Put up 5 points in 38 games. Certainly more of a stay-at-home defender who's got good size and good mobility. So we'll see how he develops. We also have Max Barbashev, a left winger for the Moncton Wildcats, Russian-born. He is the younger brother of Ivan Barbashev of the St. Louis Blues. 6'1", 181 pounds. Taken in the 5th round, 161st overall. Put up 42 points last year in 59 games, also including 15 goals. He's a player I've seen play live a few times. Really a good, solid player, like his brother, who can play in a variety of situations and has a really good release and shot. We have Zachary Karpa, a left shot centerman from Greenwich, Connecticut. 20 years of age now, 6'3", 192 pounds. He's going to Harvard University, so he's likely going to be there for a while. Being a 6th rounder, 191st overall, hard to say if he develops into an NHLer or not. I would be likely to make a prediction that he's probably going to play 3 to 4 years at Harvard, continue developing, and see where things stand at that point in time before making an NHL jump to pro hockey here. The rest of the prospects here for the Rangers from prior drafts, we have Olof Lindblom, a goaltender from Sweden, 22 years of age now, 6'1", 183. Certainly put up his fair share of time playing in Sweden. Be interesting to see when he makes the jump. He does have his NHL ELC contract in place, so I would suspect they're going to want him playing in North America here in the very near future, although their goaltending position's pretty secure with Igor Shesterkin. There certainly could be a battle for some of these guys to at least eventually be his backup goaltender. So we'll see. But Olof Lindblom is certainly an interesting goalie prospect here. Another goalie prospect is Dylan Guerin, another goalie born in Victoria, BC, 20 years of age, 6'1", 181 pounds. 4th round pick in 2020, 103 overall. Played for the Kamloops Blazers in the Western Hockey League and has had a chance to appear briefly at the AHL for a few games. So I would suspect, like Lindblom, between him and Guerin, they're the main 2 goalie prospects here in the system, but there's no need to rush them. They can continue to develop and take their time while Igor holds down the fort at MSG in Manhattan for the next little while here. We also have Talon Boyko, another goaltender, 19 years of age from Alberta, 6'7", 200 pounds. A very interesting guy. Certainly got the size and the frame. Played in the Western Hockey League for Tri-City and Kelowna. Put up some interesting solid numbers in Kelowna to kind of finish up his Western Hockey League season. So we'll have to see how he develops as well. Certainly has the size more so than the other guys do, but where he's a little bit younger, have to see how things develop. But the Rangers have some interesting goalie prospects here. Not that there's really any need to rush them into the NHL. We have Nils Lundqvist, a top defensive prospect in my opinion. He's now 22, 1st round pick from 2018. There is some speculation he could be a trade chip. He's played 25 NHL games, but has not secured a full-time spot. It would be very interesting to a lot of other NHL teams. The Swedish defenseman, of course, was, like I said, a 1st rounder now 4 years ago. Put up some good numbers in Sweden, was highly regarded as a top prospect. We've seen a few other defensemen, though, come along, like Keandre Miller, Braden Schneider, kind of jump ahead of him on the depth chart. So I do think Lundqvist has a shot at making the roster this year as a number 6 or 7 guy with the New York Rangers, but could also be a trade chip as well. We also have Zach Jones, of course, who came from UMass Amherst after a couple seasons there, turned pro, 21 years of age now. Another left shot D, 3rd round pick from 2019. Doesn't have huge size, but good mobility, 5'10", 175. So he put up some good numbers in college hockey. So far, he's only played 22 NHL games, but he's put up 6 assists. But his time in the American Hockey League after he got sent down was really productive. He played in 52 games, putting up 9 goals and 35 points total. So to me, he's a good puck-moving, mobile defenseman. Doesn't have huge size, but knows how to play with what he has to be effective. And could be an NHLer sooner and later as well. We got Matthew Robertson, another left shot D from Edmonton, Alberta. 21 years of age, has good size, 6'4", 201 pounds. A 2nd rounder back in 2019. Completed his time in the Western Hockey League for the Edmonton Oil Kings. And then, of course, played 65 games in the American Hockey League last year for the Hartford Wolfpack, putting up 11 points. Of course, Robertson's more of your stay-at-home defense, more of a defensive-style defenseman. So far here in his pro career, he has had flashes of offense before at the Western Hockey League level in junior, where he put up 13 goals a couple of years ago. But I suspect that likely will be a tougher time to translate the offense for him at the NHL level. Should he make it, it'd be more of likely a 3rd-pair guy if he gets that opportunity. Now, and we have Hunter Skinner as well as a right shot defenseman from Michigan here, American-born defenseman, 21 years of age, 6'3", 190 pounds, 4th round pick in 2019. It's an opportunity so far to play in the American Hockey League as well as the East Coast League after completing a season for the London Knights in the OHL, where he put up pretty decent numbers, 32 points in 62 games. So we'll see where he develops. A little bit lower on the depth chart here for sure. Since the Rangers already have a pretty, for the most part, solid young blue line at the NHL level. Then you have the other guys we've talked about here ahead of them. So it's going to be a tough time creating an NHL opportunity, but he will keep plugging away to see what happens. We have Vitali Kravtsov, arguably the top forward prospect. He's still, yes, a prospect after being taken in the 1st round, 9 overall in 2018, but he should be on our NHL roster this year. Hopefully get a crack at being a full-timer. He's 22 now, 6'2", 187, Russian-born, of course, has played in Russia most recently. Of course, last year went back to Russia after not making the NHL roster, did not want to play in the American Hockey League. He did play there back in 1920 for a while, but things really have been a little bit contentious between he and the Rangers. I'll be curious to see if he has a good camp and can secure a spot for himself. Otherwise, I would think that there's a good chance he'll be a potential trade chip here as well. But Kravtsov is a player they're hoping can be an impact player sooner than later for sure and join their NHL roster. Next up, we have Brennan Othmann, who's another 1st rounder, this one from 2021, 16th overall, left winger from Pickering, Ontario, 19 years of age, 6 feet tall, 180. Certainly had a solid year for the Flint Firebirds in the OHL this past season, putting up a grand total of 97 points, and he actually hit the 50-goal total in 66 games, which was a phenomenal season for him. A real major breakthrough. Also had a real solid playoff run with the Firebirds, playing in 19 playoff games and putting up 24 points. He had a real solid draft plus one season. I should have an opportunity to play for Canada as well, the World Juniors here in August. And Othmann certainly, I don't know if he'll make the roster this year, but I think he'll be a contender within the next 2 years for sure. Then we have Cuylle, who's a left winger from Toronto, Ontario. 20 years old now, 6'4", 210 pounds, has great size. Number 60th overall from the 2020 NHL draft from the OHL's Windsor Spitfires. Again, like Othmann, had a real solid breakthrough season last year, putting up 43 goals and 80 points. Ended up going all the way to the Ontario Hockey League Championship Series, where they fell short, of course, losing in the championship, but put up 25 games, 31 points in the playoffs. Cuylle was an absolute force, and at this point, certainly is another player like Othmann, has a chance to be on the World Junior team, and certainly has a chance to make a big impact here at the NHL in the not-too-distant future. Next up, we have Jaden Gruby, who's a right-shot centerman, 19 years old, 6'3", 200 pounds, third rounder from 2021, 65th overall from the Red Deer Rebels of the Western Hockey League. Put up 35 points last year in 68 games. So hopefully he'll have an opportunity here, one more junior season, to really break through and have a better season. But certainly somebody right now who's hard to say what his projection is. I would think his NHL ceiling isn't super high, and the odds of him being an NHL player are certainly not as high as the other players we've talked about here today. We also have Ryder Korzak, who's another right-shot centerman, 19 years old, 5'11", 173 from Saskatchewan. Played in the Western Hockey League for the Calgary Hitmen and Moose Jaw Warriors, completing the last season here with Moose Jaw, where he had a real solid campaign, 79 points, including 25 goals and 54 assists, and also had 13 points in 10 playoff games. So a real nice, solid breakout season for him at the Western Hockey League level. Be interesting to see what he does for the coming season, but certainly another center and prospect here who had a good breakout season and could be a player down the road. We got Matthew Rempe, another player who's got his ELC on the books already from the 2020 draft, a sixth-rounder, 165 overall, right-shot centerman, 6'9", 240 pounds. Yes, you heard that correctly. This guy is absolutely huge. From Calgary, Alberta, playing in the Western Hockey League for the Seattle Thunderbirds, scored 17 goals and 23 points in 56 games. So not a ton of offense out of him this year. We'll have to see where things go for him from here. He's got the size, and obviously it's not all about size in this game, though. We'll have to see how he develops, but an interesting guy just because of that alone to watch over the next year or two. Next, we have Oliver Tarnstrom, left shot winger from 19 years of age, of course, 6 feet tall, 163 pounds, taken in the third round in the 2020 NHL draft. The Swedish winger, of course, has been playing over in Sweden since the draft for the last couple of seasons. Put up a pretty good year this past year in the Swedish Junior League, 34 points, including 17 goals and 17 assists in 31 games. So it's a pretty solid year for him for being a third-round pick here 2 years ago. We'll see how things develop with this player. And last but not least, here we have Carl Hendrickson, another Swedish-born prospect, 21-year-old center iceman, 5'9", 174, taken in the second round of the 2019 NHL draft. Has been playing in Sweden since then. I'm not sure when he plans to make the jump to the North American game, but certainly another prospect here to watch, but not an overly big player, so it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the North American game. So that's my full recap of the 22 draft and other prospects for the New York Rangers. Of course, I want to know what you think on their prospect pool here down in the comment section. Is this team poised to be competitive and a threat to win a Stanley Cup for years to come? It sure looks like they're in good hands with what's already on the roster and some of these great young players that are on the way over the next little while. Let me know what you think and we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams, as well as all kinds more coming in the Top Prospect series. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.